I'm waiting for Tim. He said he's getting it ready.
Nicaragua. I don't know where I go.
Okay.
I don't think I would keep them up in the meter.
No, well, that's,
I don't know if we would allow them to go to Nicaragua.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Hey. So my name's Galen. You guys all know me, but I have to record this. So I went to Guatemala during the last week in April with a team of students from Nebraska Christian College. Every year they do a thing called Week of Missions where everyone on the campus chooses to go somewhere as part of a group. And so for a week, the campus is closed down while everyone does a mission trip. So they opened up Week of Missions to high school students interested in going there, and I've been interested in going there. So Brielle messaged me and told me I had the chance to choose a place to go, and she went to Guatemala last year, so I decided my turn to go to Guatemala. I wanted to go out of the country and see what else it was like to do a bigger mission trip than just going to Oklahoma like we have before or something. So I went with a team of students from Nebraska Christian College. You have to flip it. Okay, this is students and sponsors. There was 17 of us. We left Friday morning. We flew from Omaha to Dallas, had a layover in Dallas, and then flew to Guatemala City. Yeah, you're just gonna have to flip as I go along and just guess. So I flew on a plane for the first time. I'd never seen the ocean, never been on a plane, never been out of the country. It was a bunch of new experiences right away for me, and I also didn't know basically anyone on the group. I'd met a couple people for like a day or two before. I'd heard of people, but I'd never talked to them. And then you have to flip again. You have to flip a lot. Not yet. They're back. Okay, so this is bunk beds we stayed in. They had a team house for groups that come down. The orphanage is called Prince of Peace Home for Girls. So there's 50 girls ranging from kindergarten to seniors in high school. But this is the team house we had. They're split into two halves, and there's about 10 bunk beds on each side, so guys, girls have their own area. And then there's bathrooms and showers in each. And then split. Okay, so this is looking up from the team house to the first Casa A. So they have two houses for the girls that live in there, and then they also have another house called Independent Living. But I don't know if you can really think this is that bad, but Guatemala is mountainous, and they have a lot of volcanoes, so there's a lot of hills to climb up. So we got to trek up that thing every day. Okay, this is looking up to the houses from the salon. The first one is looking up from the salon, and the second one is partway up. So we call this the Hill of Joy. I mean, they have other names for it, but like our group called it the Hill of Joy because it's a very, 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 very large hill, but you're getting to go see the girls who are full of joy. Then once you got up the hill, you had to climb up more steps to get to the second house. That's Casa B. But so Saturday, we decorated for quinceañera. So the girls don't have good childhoods for the most part, and one of the things the orphanage does to give them a special occasion, they make sure to give every girl a quinceañera. So the first day we were there, we were spent decorating, and this is the girl. Her name was Katza, I think. I'm not good with names. Then, so it was really interesting to see what it's like for the girls to have a quinceañera. I'd never seen one before. This was all in Spanish, so I don't know a lot of the things they said, but we all sat down and then we stood up. It was sort of like a wedding at that point. Not yet. So we all stood up. And then we all stood up, and she walked in, and she sat down at this underneath an altar with a bench, and they talked in Spanish, and then people sang songs in Spanish. They sang worship songs. Okay. Okay. Do I need to point a certain way?
No.
Okay. So then okay, I don't know if you can see it. The altar it's pink and then has lights around it. So she got to sit underneath there, and they talked in Spanish, sang songs in Spanish. And then Mike, the guy in charge of the orphanage, made vows to her about protecting her and keeping her safe and stuff. It was really awesome to watch and see what it's like for people to have a quinceanera. On Sunday, we went to church with them. Last year, they went to the mega church in Guatemala City. It's like a huge arena with 20,000 people. But this year, we went to a small church. This is a stage, and they're seating around there. And it was interesting. All the songs were in Spanish, and the guy who talked was in Spanish, or like he spoke in Spanish. But he had a wife who translated everything so we could understand. So he was a pretty funny guy, and he would say something in Spanish, and everyone would laugh. And then we'd be sitting there looking at her, hoping she could translate, and she'd be laughing, so she couldn't even translate to tell us what we were supposed to be laughing at. So it was awesome to see Spanish church and everything. Monday, we went to Antigua, which is a suburb of Guatemala City. We saw an outdoor church. This is Claire. She's 6'2", so being 6'2" is not a good thing in Guatemala. You see over every single bathroom door. We also saw hanging plants that I'd never even known things like this existed. They're so weird. They look like plastic. I don't know what they're called. And then we saw some of the sculpture that they have in Guatemala. So we just got to experience a lot of the culture right away, along with hanging out with the girls when they would get out of school and stuff. Then we also went and saw the cross overlooking Antigua. I don't know exactly where it originated from or anything, but it was really neat to go and see this very old cross with an old brick pathway leading to it. And then you got to look at Antigua itself, and there's a volcano there in the background. So you just got to sit there and see what it's like for people in Guatemala. We went to lunch. This is one of the times we went out to eat. We went to a coffee plantation. This is about the only time I'll be able to tell you what the food actually was. So this was a Caesar salad. It just had a lot of different vegetables that they have in Guatemala. It's basically normal. We had pasta, and then the dessert was the cup. I don't know exactly. We were supposed to have chocolate mousse, and then they didn't give us chocolate mousse. This was black coffee beans or something ground up into some form of cream. Literally, I'm just guessing. And then,
You didn't like it?
no, I liked it. We just don't know what anything was. And then those yellow things are plantains, which they like sweetened and fried or something, plus strawberry. And then the last thing we did in Antigua was go to the street markets and stuff, and we got to barter with people to buy stuff. I'd never done that before. I'd never tried bargaining with anyone before I did now. It wasn't easy. They would say something, like they tell us the price, and I actually have the currency. So they have quetzales. I can't say it. But so 7.5 of these equal $1. Oh my gosh, if I can find it. Okay, I can't find it. So 7.5 Qs equals $1. And they would tell us the price, what they wanted us to pay for it, and then they'd say, what do you want? Like, what do you want to pay? And so they're saying all of this in Spanish, and I'm not good at Spanish. And I try to figure out the math in my head, and that doesn't work either. So I had no idea what I was doing. Luckily, there's another girl named Hannah who knew a lot more Spanish to help me, but we had to use our phones a lot and figure out the calculations. But so this is where I was able to get a lot of my gifts that I brought back. Then on Tuesday, this was the hardest part of the trip, basically, besides leaving. We went to the poorest part of the city. It's where thousands of people depend on the income from the city dump. So this is the church we went to. As you can see, it's not very nice. It's made of bricks and posts every couple of feet so that it doesn't fall down. But so we packaged up food, and so there's 10 bags there. Each one has like dry milk or something, plus beans and oil and noodles, rice. And so we packaged up these 10 bags of food and brought to the church. There's this guy trying to start a ministry in the dump. And so what they do is they go around and they give food as much as they can. So every time a group comes down, for the most part, they're able to go and give food. This is what we drove into. This doesn't look as bad yet, but as we started walking around, this is where we saw the 6 by 6 foot houses that they have. A lot of it is made of just metal and wood, whatever they can find. And in most cases, this is where the families where they have like 6 children live. So we thought it was hot because there's 70 to 80 degree weather, and we had to wear jeans, and then we walk into the houses of these people, and it would feel like it was 110, 120 degrees because it was so hot in there. There's not much airflow, but so the girl on the right, she isn't any older than me, I guess. And she makes tortillas that are about this big every single day and sells to help provide money for food for her family every single day. And I didn't remember it originally, but I remember we were standing there and she's in this corner baking all of this. And I look to my right and there's a table with batter on it, plus another bag underneath, and then another bag beside it. And all these bags are at least this big. And they're full of batter. And so I realized that this is literally all she does. And then the woman on the right, so not the lady holding the baby. That girl is Mary Cruz. She's a translator for us. She works at the orphanage. But the woman in the black dress, she was one of the last ones we went to. She has 6 children. The baby is 1 month old, and the oldest is probably about 10. I never found out how old they actually were, but so she has 6 children, and we would pray with them, and they would talk to Mary Cruz and tell her their stories. And we didn't hear it until we got back to the church after we were done, but this woman was considering selling or giving away her baby because she already had 5 more, and she couldn't provide for them all, and she knew that there would be more. See, in Guatemala, in this area of the city anyway, the men don't care about the women. They don't care about using protection or anything to help the women. They just care about their own pleasure. And so the women, they have to provide for all these babies and stuff, and they can't because the men that work in the dump sometimes just use the money they find or they earn to pay for alcohol or drugs, and they don't give any back to the family. And so a lot of these women can't provide for their kids, so they have to sell them or give them away. There was another woman we heard about. We didn't actually meet her, but she had 15 children, and she knew there would be more. So it was really hard going and seeing all this stuff. And then we drove through a cemetery. It's a cemetery of mausoleums. That's what they have in Guatemala. And at first these were nice. There's apartment-style mausoleums, but as you get to the back, they would be broken into or graffitied on. And there's trash everywhere. And as you get to the back, that's where it's the worst. But that was where we had to go to get to the dump. This is the actual Guatemala City dump. It is the largest dump in Central America. It's 40 acres big. And this is where the families that live in the area depend on income. So we were looking over this area, and I'd never seen anything like this before, and it was horrifying to look at because you realize how much poverty there is in this area and how utterly hopeless this area could be, and how desperate and full of despair these people could be. And this isn't even all of the dump. This is only the right side. You don't see the left or the middle parts where the trucks come in. And as we stood there, we would see the men that work there fight for the trucks that come in. See, the trucks are numbered, and they know what numbers come from the richer neighborhoods and will most likely have the more expensive stuff that they can find. And so every single day, these men dig through the trash, hoping to find metal, wood, something they can sell, sometimes just food for their families. And I saw this story when I got back. I researched the dump, and the people that search for food, they'll sometimes resell it to vendors on the streets or just take it home to their families. And when some of the chain restaurants down there found out, they started putting all of their wasted food in oil so that it wasn't edible. And then the workers found that out and started trying to find ways to recook it so that the oil would drain out so they could resell it again or still eat it. So it's not a good place to be. And we couldn't go down in the dump. They don't allow us to. You're supposed to have a badge to get down there. But even though people still work there illegally. And so we didn't have words to explain it. But our leader, Ben, he had a story that he told us while we were standing there. And have any of you ever heard of Gehenna? I had never known what it was. I'd heard about it. I didn't know the name. But he said that in the Old Testament, Gehenna was a place where people sacrificed their kids. It was where a lot of the demonic stuff happens. And when the Israelites came back from exile, it became a large dump. It was where people threw dead animals, dead bodies, all kinds of trash. And as we look down on this place, in the Bible is what God or Jesus referred to as hell. And it was a place of hopelessness and despair. And as we looked down on the dump, all he could think was, is this what Jesus saw when he looked down on Gehenna? And so it was a very literal view of what he could have seen. And that just, I'm crying. That's how we reacted. All we could do was just cry. And so we prayed there and we left. These are other photos, but the day after we left, it rained, and it wouldn't be a bad thing, except in Guatemala, they don't pack their trash like we do. When we pack our trash, we create vents so that methane gas can escape. They don't do that, so the methane gas that had been building and building and building over time, when it rained, the rain created vents for the methane gas to finally escape. And when it did, it created a sinkhole, which then created a landslide on top of it inside the dump. And when we left, this says 3, but when we left, it was up to 4. People were dead, plus 24 missing. And who knows if there were others that were missing they didn't know about because they were there illegally. That was even harder because we realized we were there right before this happened. And we pray that, they could have seen us looking up. They could have seen us praying on the cliff. But one of the people that died was a dad with his baby strapped to his back. The dad died and the baby survived. So it was really hard, but we also saw hope. Even though there is a lot of hopelessness in this area, the people aren't educated, so they can't get out of the cycle of poverty that they're in. But we saw the mothers, like some of the people we went and saw, they have God, and so they had hope about their lives, and they had hope for their children. And so that's the only thing that made the day any good. I can tell you about that later. There's a story behind that picture. So when we came back, we're all emotionally wrecked, emotionally drained. But they still wanted us to go see the girls because the girls had just gotten out of school. And so we went and we played with the girls. We made these bracelets. So Maria del Carmen, not her. Okay, I guess I don't have a photo. Maria del Carmen made this bracelet for me, and then we made matching bracelets and stuff. And we played with pipe cleaners and made crowns for the girls and stuff. And we would come back a wreck. And then these girls are so full of joy and happiness. And they're always excited to run around and play with us. And so it made our day. These girls are awesome. That's Diana. She's the girl I bonded with. So when we go down there, they always say that there's going to be like 1 or 2 girls that you bond with. Diana was the girl I bonded with. She's 15 years old. Her mom died when she was 11. I don't know about her dad, but she has 2 brothers. And so we got to know each other a lot, and she started calling me her sister. So it was awesome hanging out with her and getting to know her. I don't remember her name, but then on Wednesday, 2 of the teachers got sick or something. They couldn't come. So we got to be the art and recreation teachers for the day. And so for art, we did sidewalk chalk. The left picture, Diana and I did. It's just the story of Jesus, pretty much like Son, he's in the clouds, he's in heaven, and then he comes down to earth, which is a flower. He goes on the cross. And then there's a picture of the tomb rolled away for the grave. He rose from the grave, and then now he's back in heaven. So there's stuff like that. We just did a bunch of random things, drawing. And then we got to play soccer with the girls for recreation. So they love playing soccer. And you think that you got to be nice to them. You don't. They will beat the crap out of you. Seriously, they destroyed us all. Oh my gosh, we were so tired. And there was also this 4-year-old boy that was there, and he would hang out during the day sometimes. His dad or someone worked there, and so he would play soccer with us, and we're like, 4-year-old, we don't want to accidentally run into him or accidentally hit him with the ball. Instead, he would dribble the ball around us, and I fell a couple times trying to get the ball. So it was awesome hanging out with him and stuff, and it was hilarious. So that's the soccer field. We were all dead tired after this. Wednesday, we started painting the salon. So this is where they had the quinceanera. This is just the large gathering area for a lot of activities that they do at the orphanage. This is also where we ate our meals. So during the day when the kids were at school, after we got done playing soccer with them, we started painting the salon. It really needed to be repainted. So that was our service work that we did for the orphanage. This is a picture of it repainted. This is where we walk into. So then this is when it was done. It took a couple days to do this. So every time the girls would be at school, we'd be busting our butts trying to get this done in time. This is a lot of food we ate. I don't know what it is. The top right one, I know is French toast. So much better than any French toast you can eat here. The middle left one, or the middle top, that's the water we had to drink. So they have purified water in these buckets. There was one in each side of the team house. There's one here in the salon. So we couldn't drink the water out of the tap or we get sick. We couldn't eat food off the streets or we get sick. So they had food for us every day. The top left one, some form of tacos. I don't know. It was like refried beans or something that had been like mashed, I don't know, something mashed up with cheese, and then the taco was baked. Then we put guacamole, lettuce, salsa on top. Bottom right, burrito? I don't know. We dipped it in cheese and lettuce and whatever that other dip was. And then the bottom left I think that was breakfast one day. They have like mangoes and papaya. So I'd never had either of those really before. That was interesting. They also ate rice and beans a lot. You didn't have to though. They also had eggs every single day, almost every single day anyway. This was Friday. This is our last day there. We got to have a major water fight. I don't know quite how it started. I think Ben and then the girl who's dumping water on him, Lauren. I don't even know. I had gotten Ben wet earlier in the day, like we were playing soccer or something up there by the houses, and I got him wet. But then later, Lauren, we were like slowly getting each other wet with our water bottles, and then Lauren comes up with a 2-liter bottle full of water, and he has one, and then quickly all the other girls start getting big buckets of water. So it just became a really big water fight. We all got completely soaked, so that picture on the top left is the picture of us after we were soaked. The bottom one is just a picture we wanted to take. There's Diana. The little girl is Milady. And then there's Erica. But, so, I don't think I have many other pictures. That's Alicia and, or no, Lupita. Oh my gosh, I'm so bad with names. This is flying back. But, so, Wednesday night we also had a worship night and testimonies, like testimony night. I don't know if that's a word. I don't know. So we had worship night and we sang with the girls in Spanish and in English, and then we had a meal with them too. And after that, they invited the girls to come up and tell their stories. So they didn't have to if they didn't want to, but I think we had about 10 girls that came up and told their stories, and it's hard to remember them all. But some of the things I remember is like, there's one girl, and her sister were left on their own for 6 weeks before the government came and found them. Other ones, their parents would die, and they would go to live with other family members, and they were abused, whether it was verbally, physically, or sexually. That was a very common thing. A lot of them were abused. And then, or else their parents weren't fit to take care of them. So the government would step in and find them and take them to an orphanage. And they're lucky if they can go to this orphanage. When we had our tour on Saturday, we had our tour, like he told us all about the orphanage. Mike did, and he told us that there's other orphanages in Guatemala where there's like 700 to 800 700 to 800 kids in one place, and it's basically like a prison. The people there don't try and love them, and it's a really bad environment. So I see it as they're very, very, very lucky if they can come to this orphanage. And I'm actually now co-sponsoring with Ben. We're co-sponsoring Diana, the girl I fell in love with. And so the price is $35 a month. I'm just telling you guys this, whatever. So when he came here a year ago, like he just took over about a year ago, and then his wife came down 6 months later. It wasn't in bad shape, but the government requires them to have a lot of extra things since they aren't run by the government. They have to have 2 full-time psychiatrists or psychologists, and they only had one, and then they had to hire another one, and they've had to do some other updates and stuff, and so it creates like very large deficit every month. And so but they're doing better off than some other orphanages are. So even though they have problems, it's still awesome to go down and see how they're working through the kids. Yeah. I don't know what else. You guys can ask me questions. I don't know.
Did anybody get sick?
No, actually. Well, Derek, one of the leaders, got sick for like one day, but it wasn't anything compared to how everyone got sick last year. They told us how everyone was sick for multiple days, and they told me, the girls did that were there last year, they told me 2 of the bathrooms got like locked. There's locks on the doors, and they accidentally locked it from the inside out or something. I don't know. And so they only had one bathroom to share 8 girls that were sick for multiple days. So we were lucky this year. We didn't get sick. It's pretty sweet. I enjoyed that idea.
Is the orphanage full, or do they take more?
So they hold it's about the max is 50 girls. They have other buildings around there. I don't know what all of it's for. They have a house for some of the people that work there. It's like Mike and Carol have their own home there. And then I think Mary Cruz lives there, possibly. And then they have a clinic. They have the 2 casas for the girls. They have independent living. And then there's like a couple other like apartment style houses but 50 is about all the more they can take. So. Yes. Yes. Yeah, when the girls come, they try to teach them about God along with the education that they get there, because they do have a school there right by the salon. Yeah.
Most of them spend several years there before they graduate, or
yeah. So they can come in at whatever age, but there's multiple girls there that have been there since they were old enough to come at kindergarten age. So.
What happens when they graduate then?
They live in the city. They can go off to college.
What age do they have to leave?
18 after they graduate. There's one girl there, Mary Cruz. She actually grew up at the orphanage, graduated, went to college, came back, works there, and she's actually working at being a lawyer now. So I think she's gonna end up planning on helping them with the legal stuff as far as getting girls and everything. So they do have a chance to go off to college after that. There's a couple colleges there. So, yeah.
Go to that orphanage and not the one of the 700.
So when they have the case brought up to the judge, sometimes they have connections with the judge. They know him and stuff, and so he'll sometimes refer to the orphanage, and then they have to work through it to see if the girls are fit to go there. So they have, they want to have all the girls that they can, but some of the girls are too much trouble for them to be able to handle there, because they can be a very bad influence on other girls that live there already. So when they have this case, they'll go through and I think the psychiatrist will look at them to see if they are, if they can behave well, or at least part way well, and if they're fit to be able to go there. And then they work through the legal stuff, and hopefully the children is accepted to come in. So, yeah. And they usually try to keep the sisters together. So there's girls that when they come in, there's 2 or 3 sisters at a time. And they try to get all the girls accepted here. And if they're siblings, there's also another orphanage nearby that they work with, so that hopefully the sisters can go to this orphanage and the brothers can go to another orphanage, so that they're close by so they can still see each other. So, yeah, any other questions? The independent living? Okay, so the girls are on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the best. Yeah, 3 and 4 being the best. And I don't know exactly how it works, but I think it's just when the girls do well in school, perform well, have a good attitude and stuff, they earn this thing called independent living, where they have more freedoms. So Diana's in independent living. She is able to have Facebook, and then they also have more responsibilities as far as cleaning and cooking, but they also have more freedom. So that's another thing. It's for older girls, 15 to 18. Yeah. And all the girls go to that school that they have on the orphanage. There is one girl that she came in just this year, and she's a senior, so they let her finish out the school year at another high school, but everyone else goes to the orphanage, or the school that they have there on the orphanage. Yeah.
Hey, what's a quinceanera?
Quinceanera. It's when a girl turns 15. So they have really big birthday celebration for girls when they turn 15. I don't know. Induction into womanhood? I don't know. I don't know. It's just when they turn 15, they have a really big celebration for the girls. So, and it's common in Spanish culture. I don't know if that's a word. Yeah. I'm really bad with words.
They do that in this area too.
Yep. Yeah. I just never seen one. I don't hear about them.
Quite a celebration from what I've understood. I mean,
Yeah.
they spend a lot of money.
Oh yeah, and the girls always make sure to have, the girls always have very large poofy dresses for the most part, if you've ever seen pictures. So, yeah, quinceañeras are a very big deal.
Do you know if the girls ever go back with their families if they have a family?
Yeah, so sometimes it's the same way here, if a parent is into drugs or something and they take them away, the parents can try and get cleaned up, and Sometimes like the parents will just give them like, say here, I can't take care of the kid anymore, and so then the kids will come to the orphanage, but then either the kids will want to go back to their parents or the parents will want them back, and so the orphanage doesn't have a choice. They have to give them back usually, unless they can prove that they can't stay there. But yeah, so there's been girls that have to go back to their parents, and it's not always a good thing, but they do. So there are cases where that happens.
Is there any place you felt unsafe, like when you were down in the poorer areas, or did they keep you away from those places?
No, yeah, so when we went to Antigua, we were told, Erica, she's been here multiple times, she told us that we couldn't make eye contact with any of the men there, or they could follow us back. So we weren't supposed to make eye contact with them, but we didn't feel scared or anything. When we went to the dump, it was weird, like, you know, you get creeped out because there's all these guys on the streets just sitting there staring at us as we drive in, and then walking around. They just made, they took extra precautions, like when we were split into groups, they always had one guy in the back and one guy in the front. So, no, I wasn't really ever scared. I know there's times they could have been scared, but we weren't. So, yeah. I don't know. I want to go back. I guess I do have other. That's the last slide. This is when we came back.
You said there was a story behind that one picture you put through.
Okay. So in Guatemala, they don't care about rules as much as we do. I mean, obviously. So I think this is when we were coming back from Antigua or something. I don't know how well you can see it, but so this is a very large truck, and there's just a metal frame around it. And so this guy passes us, and at first we didn't care, and then we looked at it again, and they have like a hammock in the front, tied to the front rim of it, or like the front pole, and then like one of the back poles. And they're tying two guys to this hammock in the back of the truck as it goes down a major highway in Guatemala City. And we were like, what the heck is happening? And so as we look around at the other vehicles around us, you could see one guy in the lane next to us that was right behind this truck just sitting there filming it while he's driving. All the construction workers stopped and turned and stared. So it was creating a very large show for us. Yeah, it was hilarious. There's all kinds of things that happen in Guatemala. Funny stories.
That was a gnat's truck.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of times we'd drive down the road and we'd see guys just sitting in the back of a truck. There's another picture, I don't know, like I don't have it on here, but this guy was like, I don't know what he was doing. I mean, they'd do all sorts of crazy things while they're sitting in the back of a truck going down a highway, and we just sit there and take pictures because this stuff doesn't happen on major highways. So, yeah, there's other funny, I don't know, I can tell you guys funny stories. I don't care. So, you know how missionaries, they'll talk about how they can talk about Jesus with a passenger on the plane next to them while they're flying to whatever country they're going to. So Derek, I can go back to the front and show you guys who these people are. Okay, so Derek was one of the leaders, and he's pretty funny. And he thought, well, you always hear about this stuff. Okay, Derek is the guy in red shirt in the front row with the khaki shorts. So that's Derek. He decided that he wanted to talk to the passenger on the plane next to him, and hopefully talk to him about Jesus. So we got on the plane to go to Guatemala from Dallas, and we're like some of the only white people on that plane. So this is a Guatemalan guy sitting next to him, and he's like, hey, what's up? And the guy only replies in Spanish. So this guy can't speak English at all. And he tried saying something else, I think, and the guy just would not speak in English. So he knows absolutely nothing. And they can't speak at all. So for the 4-hour plane ride, it was totally silent. We land, and the first thing that happens is this guy gets a phone call. Or else he calls someone, and he's like, hey, what's up? I just landed. The guy spoke English the entire time. He just didn't want Derek talking to him. So that does happen. Ben, the guy in the back with the blue sweatshirt, standing sort of by himself, when we were at the orphanage, he doesn't know Spanish, like, at all. And so they started calling him tramposo. And he thinks it's, good, like, it was during sports and stuff, and so he thought it meant, like, oh, you're good at playing sports or something. And, like, cool. And so he finally asks them what they're saying. And the girls, like, this is a couple days after they've been calling him that. And the girls are like, well, it means cheater. They're calling him a cheater during all of these games, and no, he's not good at sports. He was just being called a cheater. Also, Connor, the guy next to him in the black and green sweatshirt, he had never been at an airport or on an airplane before like me. So I'm lucky I didn't do this, but he wasn't thinking, and he's like, oh, I can get from here, this door, to take a shortcut to get to the food, because we were having a layover during like the lunch hour sort of at Dallas. And so he walked through the doors to take the shortcut, and it ended up the doors that left the terminal. So he had to go back through security. Yeah, that was great. And we had no idea where he was at first. And so like it's half an hour until we're supposed to board the plane. And all of a sudden, Connor's not here. Where the heck is he? Yeah, he's standing in line to get back through the security. So, and then Erica, the girl in the blue sweatshirt, second from the right in the front row. She had bought this cane while we were at Antigua, and she was afraid customs would take it away. So what she decided to do was borrow Desiree's, the girl next to her, in the all blue, navy blue. She decided to borrow Desiree's ankle brace and pretend to have a limp while we were traveling back. So we're going through customs, like she was afraid customs would take it away, and she gone the entire day, and like, people would give her looks like, oh, she's hurt, and everything, and everyone fell for it. And so we're standing in line, and also, lines for customs, like to answer the questions. It's this really long line, and it can take like an hour or more. And then they have this other thing called TSA PreCheck. I don't know how, but I got that. Like, they give it to random people on the plane. I got TSA PreCheck, so I got to skip all the lines. And I'm waiting for everyone, and then all of a sudden I see Erica coming through. She did not have TSA PreCheck. And yet she's getting through all of these lines, and she's already through customs. And I'm like, what the heck did you just do? Well, what she did was she's standing there in line with her ankle brace and her cane, and one of the workers was like, oh, I'm so sorry, you don't need to stand in line, come over here, like, go to TSA PreCheck, you don't have to take your shoes off or anything. Like, just come over here, just step through, and you can set your bag on the table. So she got through TSA PreCheck. And then the lady was standing there, and she's like talking to Erica, and she points to Derek and is like, are you with her? And he's like, yep. So they both went through TSA PreCheck. And then Ben, he saw everyone stand, I don't know if he meant to do this or not, but he saw everyone stand in line, and they were all getting grumpy, they don't like waiting in line. And so he talks to one of the workers, and he's like, hey, I'm sure you don't get told this enough, I just want to say thank you for everything you do. And so when he gave that person the compliment, they're like, okay. So he just got to skip all the lines too, and go through, I'm guessing it was TSA PreCheck, and then ended up after that, the rest of the team was able to, I'm guessing they just got to skip through or something, because they all came right after him. So I was the one with TSA PreCheck, but yet everyone still managed to get through TSA PreCheck. So it was definitely an interesting time. We also tried to give Ben as much crap as possible. Like when he fell asleep on the plane, Erica tried tying his shoelaces together. We took pictures of him while he was sleeping to give him crap. It was awesome. So, yeah, it was a great group of people I got to go with.
So were there any other high schoolers your age?
Mm-mm. I was the only high schooler. Yeah, they spent the entire week trying to tell me I should go to Nebraska Christian. Like, you're so awesome. Like, when you come out and visit, you can stay in my dorm. No, she's going to stay in my dorm. She's going to stay in my dorm. What are you guys talking about? So it was awesome, and yeah, and Ben's like, you know what preference I have, but at the same time, they're also like, wherever you go, we know God's going to work, and we're excited for you, whatever you end up doing. So, yeah, I was in my high schooler. Pretty funny, but I didn't feel like I was a high schooler there. I felt like we were all just friends. I'd known forever. So, yeah. Oh, so on Sunday after church, we went to McDonald's. Yay. But McDonald's is nicer there than it is here. You know, so they consider McDonald's a nice place to work, I guess. And if you work there, they pay for your college. I would love that. But so then they also have like this thing called McCafe, which I know we've heard of it, but it was like an entire McCafe, like a full-on bakery, Starbucks area in the middle of McDonald's. So if we had that, that would be great. All the food was really good, even though everything was in Spanish and I didn't understand anything. But yeah, so I don't know. What else? Other questions, please? I don't like awkward silence.
What was your biggest?
What?
Go ahead.
Oh. What left the biggest impact on you from the trip?
Probably seeing the dump and then seeing the girls and hearing like, in general, like how much reason they have to be hopeless, you know, or to be bitter or upset, and yet through everything they still have hope and they're still joyful. And being at the orphanage, I felt so at peace and at home there. Even though I barely knew anyone originally, I felt at peace and I loved being with that group of people. So I'd say that was one of the biggest things. And I also talked to Ben a lot and got to know him, and it was great to hear their stories. So yeah, just hearing the stories and hearing about how much hope and joy they have in their lives, I'd say was the biggest thing. So, what were you? Yeah, they went to this orphanage. They didn't get to see the dump last year. I don't know what it was, but all they got to do was just stand at the back of the truck and hand out the food. So that was one of the biggest differences they had from our trip. But yeah, she went there last year. What were you going to say?
Educationally, are they teaching girls at the orphanage English also?
Yep. So, yeah. So they teach them, regular school subjects and Spanish, but then they also try to teach the girls English. And some of the girls, if they come in later or something, or they have other problems, like as far as, like Maria del Carmen, she came in later, and so like they have to have a tutor to help get her caught up on English, on how much English she knows. So, yeah, they definitely try to teach the girls English. Some of the other older girls, Alicia and Lupita, they know English very, very well. Some people made the joke they know English better than we do. So, yeah, they definitely try to make sure all the girls know English by the time they get through high school. Other questions?
Had you ever taken Spanish in class, or did you?
Yeah, I've taken Spanish. I took like a Spanish class online over the summer, and then I have been taking Spanish too in class at school, but it's still like I form little kid sentences. So like the little girls would come up and they don't know English yet, and so they'd start talking to me in rapid Spanish, and I don't know what they're saying, and I try to get them to point at something, but it's not something they can just point at. So yeah, it was hard to communicate a little bit, but I've learned some Spanish. So.
When we were able to go to Haiti as a group, that language barrier really, until you've gone and experienced it, there's hopelessness there.
Yes.
Trying to say,
Yeah.
use hand gestures and stuff
Yeah.
to really, if you're out on the street trying to witness somebody, there's just,
It's hard.
lack of communication is very difficult.
Yeah, the first couple days, like Saturday was the first day we met the girls, and Sunday and stuff. It was really hard. Like I felt like I wasn't going to be able to do anything because I didn't know enough Spanish. Like I didn't know Spanish as much as the kids in college and stuff. And the kids had been there before, you know, a lot of the girls knew the people that had been there before, and so they automatically had a bond with some of the girls, and I felt like I wasn't going to do anything because I couldn't speak Spanish that well, and I had never been there before, but yeah. So that language barrier was really hard, but eventually I was able to get past it, and the girls don't exactly care all the time. You know, they're just excited for you to be there and play with them, and so I bonded with them over like soccer and doing the bracelets and stuff. So yeah, language barrier didn't really matter after a while. It just took getting used to. Yeah.
You talked about the one lady was going to either maybe give away or sell her child. Is that because somebody wants a child that can't have one, or do they have,
Just,
you know, I mean, is it bad, or is it considered
I don't.
acceptable there?
I'm guessing it's considered acceptable in the dump area. I'm sure it probably happens multiple times, but I don't know whether that would be better for the child or not. Mary Cruz never told us. I'm not sure that it is a good thing, but I mean, the baby probably could go to another home where they don't have kids, but we don't know. So
I just wondered
yeah.
if they did their diligence.
Yeah, we don't know, but I'm hoping it goes to a better home if it does end up being sold, but we don't know. And we wanted to take the babies and the kids home with us, and we couldn't, so that was not cool. But
Do they own gardening or raising animals or something like that too?
they have chickens, so that was pretty funny. But they have a garden. They're starting, and so it's like, he told us what it was called. I don't remember, but like they have like water systems, like PVC pipes almost, or something, and they're growing lettuce and stuff there, and then hydroponics. That. So they've started that, and I think they have lettuce, and they have like avocado trees and stuff. So we have fresh guacamole. What? Okay, yeah, I probably just said something wrong. Well, anyway, they have avocados and lettuce and tomatoes, and they're gonna expand the hydroponics system that they're starting. Like this, when we went down there, that was the first time they've ever been doing it. And they also have like mangoes and stuff. So they're growing stuff for gardens, but they're also looking to expand it and hopefully start giving it to people in the community, because people in the community have seen it. Like they have a fence around, but it's right by the fence so that people can see it, and they're getting interested in it, and they want to hopefully expand that in time. But yeah, and then they get food from other people. Like they have connections with stores in the town, so that's where they get the rest of their food.
Did they say, did they get any government money, or
No.
this is all privately
It's
raised?
all private, yeah.
Like you sponsoring, I mean,
Yep.
is that the only way they get money?
Yeah, sponsors, I think, is about the only way they get money. He said that basically 99% of the funds come from people that sponsor in America. And he doesn't like that, actually. Like, he wants Guatemalans to take care of their own kids eventually, but he's working on that, and right now he's just working on having enough money to cover the deficits and stuff. So he's actually back in America right now. He came shortly after we left, and he's going to talk to churches and stuff. So, yeah. A lot of the money comes from Americans as sponsor, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to co-sponsor. It's $35, so I couldn't cover all of it since I don't have a job, but yeah. Ben stepped in and he helped me, so we're going to cover the $35 now. No, I might not enjoy that. No, I'm kidding, but yeah. I'm gonna shut up now. Yeah. Other questions? Well, it's almost 10, so I don't know.
Thanks for sharing with us.
Yeah.